Rob Liefeld has taken the comics internet by storm once again by reporting on something that has been in the wild, in the wind for some time. And that is the idea that DC Comics is planning an Ultimate Universe style reboot or side continuity or whatever you want to call it. This is something that we talked about on the show post New York Comic Con. It's something that we actually heard at New York Comic Con from someone who I feel like would know.
Close to the matter.
Yeah.
Insiders.
Yes.
Sources.
We actually have sources. On this, we have sources. For the first time in ever.
This only, though, like nothing else.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Anything else we say is just like, take that with a grain of salt.
Gobbledygook.
But it sounded at the time that we heard it like a foregone conclusion that this is what DC was doing. And then Bleeding Cool reported on it. The same information that we had heard, I'm sure, from different people, different sources. But everybody's saying the same thing at the time and now, that DC Comics has an Ultimate Universe relaunch planned. And at that time, the big major rumor alongside it was that Scott Snyder would run the whole thing, that he would be the tip of the spear. He would be the architect piecing together this ultimate reboot, where he would basically curating a line. And that rumor is back, and it's back with a vengeance, all thanks to Rob Liefeld, who on his Robservations podcast said what he knows, or what he feels he knows about this. He said, quote, DC is absolutely doing an ultimate reboot. I know people at the helm, the people in charge. A lot of people called. A lot of people solicited to be a part of it. I have mostly spoken to people who didn't choose to go on board. I don't think it's as far along as the Marvel stuff.
A lot of people are talking about it.
That's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about this Ultimate Universe potential for DC, and also whether or not their most recent event announcement is tied to that at all. Thank you to everybody who is with us live. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you hit that like button. We've got a game planned for later, a new one that we think is going to be fun and want to play with you guys. Super chats are open if you're so inclined. We've got all the pals on deck today. Kale.
What's up, hot dogs?
Marco.
Morning.
Tyler.
Yo.
And of course, I'm Sean, ready to talk some Ultimate Universe in DC. Let's get into it. So, DC Comics is the land of the reboot. This we know. Every year during the Pallies, the predictions piece, one of the annual questions is, will DC Comics reboot their line? We all answered that question at the tail end of 2023, and we said no. Now,
right.
Marco, what the hell? Why are you bringing these glasses back? It's over. You're wearing sunglasses inside.
It's sunny outside.
You're inside.
The window's right here.
But his future's so bright.
That's right.
Not if he keeps those sunglasses on.
I just assume he's hungover every time.
That's what the glasses are. You gotta hide the eyes.
Unbelievable. Rami, why do you want me to get rid of my Christmas tree? What's wrong with my tree? There's nothing wrong with my tree.
Oh, who's winning that?
It's not even a month out. Who's winning what?
Oh, never mind.
What were you gonna say, Kale? Seemed like you had something on your mind.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Is there some other bet that I'm not aware of?
No, you don't need to. You don't need to worry
crazy
about
that Ultimate Flash is going to be slow. Like who makes this
let's
stuff
talk
up?
about the
Who
Ultimate
thinks
Comics,
that? Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay. right now, we know that DC is in the midst of this Titans experiment. Your mileage may vary on that. And it looks like eventually we're going to get, the Justice League back, maybe even a Justice Gang. There have been so many different rumors. But going into Free Comic Book Day, DC is teasing, and we got all the solicits for May, excuse me. We got all the solicits we got the solicits for April and the Free Comic Book Day solicits. And so it says DC Major Event 2024 Free Comic Book Day Special Edition. Now, I'm sure when it releases, it won't be called DC Major Event. I'm sure it'll have a name.
To be fair, though, that would be more refreshing than blank crisis or crisis at blank.
Major event.
Major event would actually, it would be like, that would actually be like a refreshing title.
That's name funny. Of a character, just the name of the character, Major Event comes out and destroys all of the world.
It's just major disaster, putting everyone in fridges.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh yikes.
Missed opportunity was turning the White Knight universe into the Ultimate Universe. Nah. Sean
quite.
Murphy's doing good, fine things over there, and I don't think they need to make that up.
We don't need Scott Snyder to ruin that.
Property value is at all-time high, so.
Yeah. He's too busy painting over light switches to do more comics.
Metal Force sounds like a Power Rangers event. Sick. So the idea behind this is that this event, sure, it could be, it could be DC Zombies. It could be DC Jurassic League. It could be all the Justice League turned into dinosaurs. It could be, it could be anything. All the Justice League are underwater. Who knows? But it could also the event that leads to a reboot, to an Ultimate Universe reboot.
Mm-hmm.
My supposition, as we get into this full stock with the event, is that it's the Amanda Waller, Brainiac, Queen Brainiac, Zoran R, Trinity of Evil event, where those three are going to team up. It'll necessitate the resurrection of the League. And at that point, maybe they find a way into the Ultimate Universe, an Ultimate style thing. But is now the time for DC to reboot? Is this teasing a reboot?
Well, you got to do it before August so they can just totally mess up the line again every year. So timing needs to be right. What would this timing be? Like summer? If it's imminent?
Yeah.
Well, this Brainiac thing would have to be summer, right? Like,
well, they're teasing an event in the Free Comic Book Day issue. It's going to be their summer event.
Yeah.
Sure.
That kind of lines up to the right timing, especially to get buzz about it now.
But Queen Brainiac kind of feels a little flat. Waller's been just meandering in the background, flat. Zern R, he's there, but I mean,
not flat.
But presumably will be defeated by Batman. That doesn't necessitate the League. There's still not something big that is universe ending there, and maybe something that doesn't have to be universe ending. But I feel like that's the sort of the trajectory of DC Comics is a crisis style, and you're going to replicate off of that.
What was the question?
The question was, I know. The question was if we think that this is the right time for DC to do a reboot. Is that where they're heading?
I still say no. And if all of this sounds familiar, listeners, we talked about this a month ago.
2.
That seems crazy.
I looked it up.
Kale, you were gone for a month, Kale, so it's a month for you.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. All right. It's wild that this is resurfacing again because I've been reading rumors of Ultimate DC since I was 12 on the Hyperborea forums. I still say no because I still like at least for a reboot.
Nah.
You know, if they split off into a different universe thing, that's different. But for a full reboot, we're still in the age of the dawn of DC or whatever. This stuff is only still just getting going. It's not even good yet.
Yeah,
How do
Timothy's
we?
not even out.
But like the fact that Marvel's Ultimate Universe is being rebooted right now, doesn't the timing seem almost bad because it feels a little derivative to do that?
But they do that shit all the time.
Comics.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, they obviously can't call it an Ultimate Universe, obviously, but
Yeah, we had the New 52.
the Crisis Universe.
Oh,
Oh God, I just made something, didn't I?
he shuddered.
Oh no.
Tandidio just went, oh, I don't work there anymore.
Yeah, Universal Crisis sounds like something that's written on a whiteboard somewhere.
Do you think that, Sean, that it's a time for a reboot?
No, I don't. I think
Yeah.
that this is probably the worst time that they could do something like that.
Yeah.
When you look at the New 52, or rather, when you look at DC pre New 52, I feel like a lot of it, as someone who just started reading DC around that time, just before, I look at it as a time that was very bloated. It was hard to understand DC at that time. I mean, Final Crisis was gobbledygook. Like it was nonsense. And I say that as somebody who loves Grant Morrison to death. I could not understand Final Crisis at all. And I feel like they got to the point where it was just impenetrable. And maybe New 52 wasn't what was needed. I don't know. I liked it, but they needed to do something. I think we can all agree to that. I don't feel like we're at that point at all. The Superman line is thriving. Batman's doing just fine. People give a shit about Wonder Woman, which is great. The Flash has something going on. There are things happening in a way that doesn't feel like, okay, it's time to shut this whole deal down.
Even in terms of like a publishing aspect of it too. Like think of like Green Lantern War Journal. It doesn't even have 12 issues yet, and it was already upended by Night Terrors almost immediately. So you can't even have a good hardcover yet of that without it rebooting, if they do it this year or this summer. And that's the case for many books. Power Girl, like stuff that started in the fall.
They have enough time to get to a trade for pretty much everything that they're publishing.
Yeah, I think a trade, sure, especially if it's like 6 issues or whatever. But I'm just thinking, like, just in terms of like the idea of ongoings doesn't really matter. It seems. Yeah.
I'm gonna put out a poll. Will DC Comics reboot their universe in an Ultimate style relaunch? Yes or no? We'll see, people.
But let's entertain a different side of this, because I mean, Rob Liefeld is saying reboot. I don't think it has to be a reboot. It could just as easily be an offshoot. And I think that is something that's a lot more tantalizing in my mind. I don't care for a reboot. I'm over it. Like, let's just never do it again. I'm down to not do that anymore. But a different line that is Ultimate style, I think that could be good. I think that could be great for DC, but they have to do some things to make it worth it. Because right now, DC Comics is just like Marvel, publishing a whole bunch of books. It's very confusing. You have Black Label. I mean, just on Pals Pulls this week, there was a Black Label, a Sandman universe at the same time, and it gets so confusing. They have so many offshoots. Go ahead.
That was for one character.
Yeah.
Black Label, Sandman Universe, John Constantine, Hellblazer. Dog had 4 titles on his books.
It's insane.
Is that potentially the answer then to that point? Like you build upon the imprints that they currently have, the Sandman Universe stuff. I'm trying to think, the Black Label. Like, does that then do you flesh that out more to I guess supplant what's going on in the DC universe?
I think they would first need to know what Black Label is. I still don't think they know what it is.
And I think they would just make a new imprint. I think that would be cleaner.
Sure. Oh.
I don't necessarily like it.
Mm.
You know, they have a lot of congestion in the imprint. Well, maybe less so now, but um, you know, I think if you're gonna launch something with, you know, in the ultimate style as we know it, younger versions of the heroes, etc., you're gonna want clean branding.
I agree with that. And I think, you know, it does give DC needs to clean house. I really feel like there are just way too many like taglines and offshoots and banners and things like that. They've got to streamline all that. It's too confusing. But an ultimate ish line can be an entry point for people. Black Label doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I don't think it's been a success, to be honest. It's put out some good books. I'll tell you right now, off the top of my head, and maybe I'm a bad person to count, but you guys can answer this as well. I don't think I finished a single Black Label book. Like whatever amount of books were published for a certain story, I don't think I finished anything.
Nice House, isn't that Black
Is that
Label?
oh, is that a Black Label? Okay,
Oh,
I
that was-
finished
yeah.
that.
Yep.
I finished that.
I think
But
I
then
did.
that's what's confusing too. Like,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't
Adam
was it Human Target and Adam Strange, weren't they Black Label?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh my
Adam
god,
Strange was
see,
retroactively. Yeah.
that's the shit. I'm thinking of Black Label as those big
The fat ones. Yeah.
album
Oh
type
yeah,
books.
like Rogues and the Aquaman one.
Right.
Yeah.
And the one with
Yeah.
Batman's dick. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about those. You know, like but you're right. All those things are Black Label.
Mm.
Which is what I mean by like they don't know what Black Label is because it's Nice House, which is its own story out of no continuity. It's its own book. It is a Vertigo book. Let's be real. And then we also have Human Target, which is it in the universe? Is Adam Strange? It's weird.
Well, we know Human Target's not because
Sure.
Fire and Ice are in Smallville now, and you know nobody's
true.
talking about Christopher Chance. So
Right.
All's right in the world. But Black Label just doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Like it's just a place to tell stories that are not in continuity, I guess. But then it uses continuity and picks and chooses what's canon and what's not. That is the least welcoming thing imaginable for somebody that doesn't read comics.
Yep.
I don't think it works.
I think it works as a trade. Like if like oh these are Black Label trade books that you can just pick up one and dones.
I think the problem is I think it works unless you have to explain it.
Yeah.
Right, them being separate and being kept separate makes sense, but as the broader, oh, this is connected to the brand. It's like, well, where's that delineation? It's too fluid.
Yeah.
The dissolution of the Vertigo brand name was the dumbest thing I've seen DC do in a long time.
Big sads, because that was basically what that is. It took the stuff from the Sandman universe already existed in there, split that up because it's like, oh, this is big enough to do its own thing, and then you keep the same concept of publishing out of continuity books or more mature books or independent books themselves, like a Preacher or trying to think what else is there. Well, Shade I guess technically falls in, but
Like Fables. Yeah.
Fables, right? Yeah, and you pull all that away, and now you have to choose between mainline, some amorphous goo of a label imprint, and then Sandman.
Yeah. Even then, I think DC having a place to do out of continuity stories is fine. But I think it has to have a mission statement that audiences can understand. And I think that they need to do away with the big graphic album books or only do those. In terms of Black Label, the fact that they release Black Label books that are sometimes big graphic albums and sometimes are just floppies is crazy to me.
Yep.
It's shocking.
Yep.
It's confusing all around. Consumer side, publisher side.
Yeah.
And that communication piece I think is really important because you have to be direct about what this is and who this is for. Because regardless of whether or not you're trying to capture as many people as you can with a broad net, at least specifying, allows you to say this is what this is for. If people want to come and explore it, they do so out of their own curiosity.
And then we had Earth One, which was more Earth One was more like, I guess, like a manga style where, you had the books were only ever released in trade format. There were no single issues, and it was stakes. Everything mattered, and then whenever it was over, volume X, that was it. I think the most volumes we got for anything was 3 with the Batman Earth One stuff, which is a clear beginning to end story. That let's talk about that a as a line, an ultimate line, right? But using the Earth One style of release, but with a legitimate commitment attached to it. So here's what I'm pitching: Scott Snyder or a Cabal or whatever lay out a path for an ultimate universe that starts from scratch and has absolutely nothing to do with the DC mainline universe. Maybe an event occurs that causes this universe to be created, but after that, they have no relationship. And maybe it's a line of 5 ongoing titles, but they're only released in trade style, graphic novel style. And the story progresses in those individual books. And once those are over, either there's a baton pass to a new creator, or maybe the story's just done. But continuity, light, but of course continuity, and that's it.
The idea of format was something I thought of first when I started thinking about the DC Universe thing, because Earth One is something I think about. Which I think the format of Earth One was good. It just didn't stick to it. Like, I kind of enjoyed those, like, it was a good quality hardcover from what I remember. And I like that I can just get a chunk of a story, and it was like I have that whole story there. There's some connectivity. Yeah, I enjoyed that stuff. I'm not against that, but they need to really stick to it and have a plan with it, which that I'm not too confident of.
I like Earth One as the title, because DC already has a massive history with the various Earths and Earth Twos and et cetera, tied in with the crises. But I don't necessarily see how it survives in this market in the trade or album format alone. Which sucks for me, because that's not how I want to buy, but I think it will need floppies.
Interesting.
I started earlier in the chat about this sort of manga-esque conception, beginning, middle, and end. And I think agreed that the audiences for that are different. But I think the introduction of something like that and it being singular creators is a unique offering that is attractive because it's so uncommon here and would pique some kind of interest. And if they format it within that, may not share the Tankaban style, but more accessible, you can carry around. If the large majority of people who read this are physical readers, then optimizing the physicality of the book maybe makes sense and provides ease for that. Keep it left to right, but I think there's a potential there for potentially just introducing a new way to consume the stories as well as the format of the book.
I don't know. I feel like DC needs to do something. They have their hands in a lot of jars right now, and they're trying to reach a lot of different audiences at once with their various projects. They've got the YA stuff going on for the younger. They've got the Black Label for the older. What makes this materially different? I don't think that, making it right to left is going to do anything that cause like the words, the panels. I don't think making it right to left is going to do anything that cause readers to lose their minds. You're making a face, Marco. You got to be kidding me.
So keep it left to right. You read left to right.
I know. I'm not saying you said anything wrong. I'm saying that would drive people crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
I'm not responding. I'm not countering what you said.
Oh.
Can I throw a what if out there? And this actually ties into what we talked about last week. What if it was a digital only line?
Well, then it's definitely not.
Yeah, then it's dead.
Yeah,
There's no
DOA, baby.
But what if they try to do something a little different, and that's how they drive people to the DC Universe app?
It's dead.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
I don't think there's enough people there. Is that a volume?
I mean, think about the Marvel Infinity stuff.
I actually like those things too, which is a bummer.
I mean, sure,
you can
do,
like
but,
them, yeah.
I mean, but think about the amount of. I'm a well-seasoned comic book reader that does actively use the Marvel app. I've never once gone to those. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. That stuff's not gonna.
You're talking about the digital exclusive stuff, not the moving comics, right?
Yeah, the exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
So Amin says, but why? I think floppies are great. I don't think the format is the issue here.
I agree. But I also think I also think if it's something that's going to survive, they're going to want to use the floppy to justify its existence. Same as they do everything else, especially right now.
I'm always going to be of the mind that doing something that doesn't involve floppies will be extremely difficult.
Yep.
I mean, Earth 1 was a great idea, I think, and the stories were strong. And I don't really think you can say that DC didn't try. I mean, they put everybody good on those books that they had access to. They put some really strong teams on those. I mean, my God, Batman was Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Wonder Woman was Yannick Paquette and Grant Morrison, like Gabriel Hardman and Karina Becco on Green Lantern. Those were great books with great creative teams. No one cares. No one cared. Like, if you really put yourself in the time frame of the Earth 1 books coming out, no one gave a shit.
And even worse, you never hear a bad word about it.
Right.
So they've got word of mouth, and they don't move. Like,
I just looked it up because I was like, "There's got to be more of them." And there was a Teen Titans Earth 1. There was 2 volumes of it. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
By Jeff Lemire and Terry Dodson. Like, that's a team too.
That's a pretty great team.
And I didn't even know about it. And apparently there was Aquaman and Flash. Flash was by JMS, but never happened. Never published.
But that's also like what I'm talking about is just like those gaps in the publishing, for trades by themselves. Like, that's never gonna keep it afloat.
DC didn't even care to let us know about them in a real way. There just wasn't a marketing push behind them. I think even internally, these books fall through the cracks when they're not regularly released floppies. And it's out of sight, out of mind in comics. Literally. Let's see. I was thinking about this just the other day. Did I remove it from the schedule? I didn't. Okay, we're gonna talk about it. It's the difference between Ghost Machine and Distillery. Ghost Machine's books are in our faces. They're floppies.
Yeah.
That release that way, that release monthly, and everybody's really excited. I just feel like if you're not doing exactly what the market wants you to do, your comics just kind of fall out. Who Who here has kept up and cared about the Comixology original Snyder stuff? You know, all those books ended already, and some of them are still releasing in physical. No one is talking about them. There's no buzz. It's Scott Snyder, one of the biggest writers ever in comics, and no one cares because they didn't come out physical first.
Not to mention, Comixology as a brand no longer exists, so like that didn't help.
And also the marketing behind that was also atrocious.
Hey, the marketing behind that was they did the best that they could with what they had.
Atomic Hound gives us a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate it. He says the last thing this market needs is more capes monthlies. Neither of the big two have sufficient depth of talent to do a large-scale addition to already bloated lines. They will cannibalize current readers. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. That's a good point that I think is worth chewing on. So I agree that DC's roster isn't great in terms of creators. It's not that deep. Neither is Marvel's. But what I think DC has is a bunch of writers in their roster who haven't necessarily made their statements about DC. Ram V is somebody that, I mean, really, what has he done at DC? He's had a long stretch on Detective. He did the Vigil, which was really cool. Little things here and there. Justice League Dark, but nothing that I would say is so big that we just were like, okay, I'm over Ram V at DC. Not even close.
Nothing ever too continuity heavy from him either.
No.
Yeah.
You still have access to PKJ, who's great. Kelly Thompson is great. You know, these are names that haven't made their big splash yet in that company. This could be a lane for them.
Do you think then it could come down to also allowing those creators not just 1 or 2 or 3 volumes of a book or not just 12, 15 issues here and there? What if you gave them just 100 issues to do something like and give them the scale of what comics and sequential reading is? It's not the maxi format. Comics like Batman and Superman had the longevity of 1,000+ issues. Would replicating that model of purposeful longevity be something?
Not today.
That's just not how publishing works anymore.
But let's say there's a specific force that meant to do that. I'm giving 3 creators or 3 writers, 3 artists. You have 5 years here.
I think there's issues on multiple fronts there. A, you would need a benevolent executive to do that, and B, I don't know if a writer wants to be held down for that long anymore.
Well, but not even like a character. Like, let's say, what did PKJ do? Last God. Like, I'm thinking along the lines of if Primer is so popular because it's a new character and this kind of thing, what if you give that kind of format to a new character? Give it the run.
I think we can't boil down Primer being so popular to it being a new character.
I'm not. But what I'm saying is take that new character concept, give it a purposeful longevity, so that way you can allow the market over the course of time decide how it ebbs and flows in popularity.
But again, think about the musical chairs we played at DC over the past 5 years. Like you can make a purposeful longevity mandate all you want until
it doesn't sell.
Until Zaslav decides he needs a second 40th yacht, and he cuts it down.
And what was the initiative where like Sideways and Silencer and Damage? I forgot the name of that initiative.
But like that out of Metal, I think.
Yeah, it spun out of Metal. Yeah, I forget what the name of the initiative was though. But like they tried, like, hey, here are these new characters with hot creative teams on
and also
new books.
DDO.
And I think the furthest it got was maybe 12 issues for like some of them ended in 5. Some ended in 3. I think one of them only had like 3 issues. It was like The Others or whatever. So I think it's been tried, and it's just nobody buys them. Why do you think we have so many Batman books? Because that's where the money goes.
This is what I always say. There's just not a market for new characters. Everybody says they want new characters. No, you fucking don't. No, you don't, because you don't buy them. I don't want to hear it. People don't want new characters.
There's no market for new characters in their own books.
Yeah.
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 It's so hard to get a new character over. It's so unbelievable. Think about 10 years, right? Think about 2014. And how many new characters from that point to now do we follow and care about that make regular appearances in comics?
John Kemp.
I'm sure you can count them on your hands.
But the trick that's always worked is introduce them in a team book or another book, and then maybe they can get a spinoff. Just launching new characters, I can't imagine I can't remember it working.
It's also the reason why so many of the new characters that got created, even if you go back 40, 50, 60 years, are literally gender swapped, or not even gender swapped, just another person wearing the exact same costume. That's why there are so many Flashes and not just someone other than the Flash, not some other person, because the Flash name is what has value. So let's create Wally. Let's create Skippy and Speedy and Buddy and Holly, whoever.
And the rest of the crickets. You music history nerds will get that.
I'm not among them.
Buddy
That
Holly's
one went over
band
my
was
head.
called the Crickets.
Ah.
That's where the Beatles actually got their name.
Well,
Dan
have a
Trudeau,
question, though.
quote, I want new characters, but I'm not going to pay for them. That is everybody. That is so many people in comics that say they want it, but don't buy it.
which is why an Ultimate Universe almost makes sense. Because you can do Flash, you can do Batman, but they're new characters. You know, you can maybe even do some of the ideas that were in 5G and bring that into an Ultimate Universe. Maybe even reuse some of those characters, honestly.
That makes sense.
Marvel only has few successful new characters in the last decade because they pushed them so hard and they made a connection between those characters and Spider-Man. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about the last decade, who are we even talking about? I think you're talking about what, like maybe Ghost Spider?
Miles was
Marvel?
before the last decade,
Miles
right?
before.
Miles and Kamala would be
Yeah, I think Kamala's 2013, 2012, somewhere in there.
11, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in that.
Ghost Spider was a fluke, honestly.
Well, it's that costume.
Yeah, Cosmos cool.
Wolverine, X-23.
Not a new
No,
character.
been around since 2000s.
Okay.
I would say Moon Girl maybe is the only other one I can think of.
Jeez. And we're Scream.
You can't even really get Moon Girl stuff. Miss Marvel, one of the most popular new characters in the last several decades, has a tough time keeping a book on the stands.
Couldn't even die in her own book.
Right?
favorite book.
Yeah. It's really wild. It's really, really wild. At $5 or $6, it's hard to ask people to take the leap. Maybe if new character books were starting at 2 or 3 and lost leading to build their names. That's what Jeffrey Groom says. Look, I think it's a magic and an alchemy that there is no science to. I really don't think that there is a surefire way to get new characters over. I think even if it cost, if you put a book out at $2.99, which would make those books the cheapest books on the stands, I think you'd have to give them a great creative team. It'd have to be a full court press. And even then, I don't think you have a guarantee. And that's rough. So that's why I feel like if DC is going to do an ultimate anything, any type of ultimate style thing, it has to be rooted in the characters that we care about.
Yep.
But the stories have to be fresh, and we need fresh names on the books. But also people whose names we associate with quality.
Honestly, a lot of those YA book creative teams could be interesting to see them tackle a different format in a monthly format. Like Gabriel Piccolo, great young name that has a whole bunch of an Instagram following, putting him on something like that. I think it's someone like
But-
Leah Williams, you know, younger and doing some great stuff on like Power Girl. Put her on Wonder Woman, but like it's not Wonder Woman proper, but still, like something like that could be huge.
But
Common talent.
you would need, you know, your your Mark Miller. Not Mark Miller, but you know, in the equivalent of the Avengers, you know, the Ultimates. You would need a blockbuster writer to head the Ultimate Justice League.
So that's the Scott Snyder of it all. That
No, please no.
I know you're not a fan, but I think that is somebody that can be seen to do that.
Yeah. Tragically, I think you're right. Tinian?
He ain't doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, he knows his worth.
Yeah, he got his stuff out there. Who's even in the stable? PKJ, Psy.
I mean,
You don't necessarily need to
maybe-
go into the stable.
I think you do. I
forgive-
definitely go ahead.
Forgive me for saying this, but maybe this car accident made Donny Cates flip sides. You know, maybe
Oh
he's a
my
DC
God.
guy now.
Oh my God, Kale.
Maybe he could do it.
Yikes!
You mean in the sense of a missed opportunity and a new one arising, right?
Yeah.
Yikes!
Jeffrey Groom says it's absolutely clear from manga that the market is there. It just needs the right path to the readers. I don't think that's clear at all. I think manga and Western comics are not the same beast. They don't have the same audience. They don't have the same appeal. Very, very, very different animals. And I don't think that you can try to appeal to that audience in the same way for the same reasons they like manga and see success. I think it's tough. The webtoon success that they had with Batman Family Adventures or whatever, I mean, I don't feel you can replicate that in the Western comics market.
Shit, you know what? Just lean heavy into webtoons. Like start to build a universe out there where things are connected. Yes, you have your standard fare DC books, and that audience won't bleed into the webtoons audience, or vice versa. Start to flesh that out more, so that way you can hit a different kind of demographic.
How do you make money?
Yeah, I don't think they're making a whole line for somebody else's app.
Yeah, there's no money there.
I don't know how the payout works, because you get paid out for whatever degree and whatever the partnership is, but I don't know if it's worth the money there.
I mean, listen, it takes thousands and thousands of dollars to make a comic book, right? We all know that.
One comic book.
Yeah, just one individual comic. And like if Kale was making a comic book, it would take him thousands of dollars. And he's not hiring, you know, Clayton Cowles and Dan Mora and whoever. It's Kale and the artist that he can find that is within his budget. When DC puts a book together, that's costing them probably like double what it would cost Kale to make a comic book. Because Kale's not even getting paid off his comic book.
Mhm.
So how can you take the cost of thousands of dollars to make a book and just throw that out there on Webtoon? You know, like, I don't think there's a business model to that.
But you still get paid off of, you know, the viewership, the coin usage, all that kind of. There is a model there that pays creators insofar as you offset the cost. I'm not disagreeing that it's not expensive. We just don't know what the actual math behind there is.
But you think that they can make enough money off of a Webtoon to pay the creators and pay themselves?
People, that's how a lot of the webtoons artists live. Yeah,
Marco, but we're talking about DC, the
No,
business.
I agree, and what I'm saying is we don't know what the actual payout is to make a fair argument one way or the other. But I think that there's potential for individual creators that they're doing well on those platforms.
But individual creators,
Yeah.
not DC's creative teams. It's not the same.
But if you have enough, right? Assuming you have enough and the pay rate is good and the math works out, that's my argument.
It's assuming all of that.
Yeah,
you could do
assuming
that
a
for
perfect scenario.
we could do that for bubblegum rappers too. You know, I just think that
Bubblegum?
there used to be comics on bubblegum rappers, Marco. That's oh geez, man, I just dated myself hard.
It's
Zuka
sweet
Joe,
summer
nothing?
child.
Jeez.
So
So
you know about Cracker Jacks, right?
What?
you ever play stick and hoop? So webtoons doesn't work. The fact that Batman webtoons exist is to drive new readers into Batman to read actual DC books. Unless
No,
Warner
no,
bought
I don't think
DC.
so. I think it's to feed one audience, and it's an audience that wants what Webtoon has. And it's stuff that circles around Batman and his extended family, and that is literally it.
Sure, I'm just saying, what does DC get from that? I think they're trying to get brand loyalty.
Trying, yes.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know if it's
Exposure.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. What I'm saying though is that is appealing to a certain kind of reader, a very specific person.
Yeah.
And I don't know that same person can be translated into, Western style comics at large. Individually, maybe, but at large, there's no evidence of that. And that's the problem that DC faces. But honestly, I don't think it has to be that complicated. I think if you take great creators and you put them on books that people care about, books can sell. We're going to talk about Ultimate Spider-Man later. Yes, it's an outlier. I'm aware of that. It is a juggernaut of a comic in terms of sales.
It was back then, too. It was an outlier.
Why can't DC do that?
All this discussion and the simple answer is just do what Ultimate Comics did originally. Big creators on the characters you know.
I would also argue DC doesn't have a Spider-Man.
Yeah, they've been trying.
Spider-Man himself is a special case because he's different from the Avengers, and he's different from the Fantastic Four, and he's different from Batman and the Justice League and Robin, and he's his own juggernaut. So people will show up for Spider-Man. DC doesn't have that.
Nightwing, the heart of the DC universe?
Well, yes, but
people
won't show up for him. Like, sorry.
They're trying to make Blue Beetle happen, but I don't think that hasn't happened in 10 years.
I mean, like, DC has Batman, you're right, but like what I'm saying is, like, Spider-Man has like a section, whereas Batman, falls with the Justice League, and yeah, he carries his own stuff, but so does Superman. So does I'm saying Spider-Man is a thing set unto himself, and has been since the beginning.
I think the difference is that when it comes to Spider-Man, we've watched him grow and age. Yeah. And so when Ultimate Spider-Man came out the first time around, the appeal is it's Spider-Man the way you loved him before. It's the way you loved him when you were a kid. And if you were a kid, it's Spider-Man that's at your age. It's a Spider-Man that you can get into that's not married, that's not an adult, that doesn't have a real job. That was the appeal. And it worked. It sold like gangbusters. What version of Batman can you show me that reflects on the version that I loved as a kid? He's the same fucking guy. He's always been the same person. There's nothing to do there. Yep. And if you take Spider-Man and then make him an adult with a family, that's unique because Marvel won't give us that in mainline anyway. So Ultimate has always found a way to do something with Spider-Man that you couldn't get anywhere else. And that's what DC would have to do. What can you do with Batman that makes it so that I need this versus what Chip Zdarsky's already doing?
Yeah.
What version of Superman can you give me that fills that void? That's the problem they face. By the way, sorry, go ahead.
Smallville, I guess. Like, you go back to the Smallville universe somehow. Like,
it's dated.
Well, and I'm not saying like
modernize it, maybe.
Yeah, not Power Rangers is dated too, but they brought that back in that universe and it worked.
Sick.
Yeah. Who was it? Gilmer Eric Smith mentioned Ryan Perot on Ultimate Titans, and he was with Kyle Higgins. I think he picked up the second tier or the second big arcs on Power Rangers after Kyle Higgins. That's a great call.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. By the way, we got a whole bunch of you watching us. Thank you for that. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button so that we get to play a game later on. That'll be a lot of fun. And super chats are open. Want to make sure you know that. If you are not subscribed to our channel, please do so. We are on the road to 2,000 and we need your help to get there. Let's hit some comments. Let's see.
Why
ahead.
Arc 9 says Wally West? And there's a good potential with Wally West in that Spider-Man pocket. He doesn't have the same hit as Spider-Man, but in the same way you described Peter Parker in the Ultimate line, Sean, I think Wally could do that too. DC just hasn't realized it yet.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's the appeal of Wally.
That he's like that unifying force of the universe.
That at the time after that, he's the one that actually grew into his role. You know, he started as a kid in the same costume as the Flash, and then he grew into Kid Flash, and then eventually Barry died, and he became the Flash, and then he became the best Flash. So we, you know, readers at the time watched him grow and grew alongside him.
It's a pretty rad storyline, actually.
I know. That's what I've been telling you.
Gilmer Eric Smith says Static should be Spider-Man. There's I think that's cool. He's just not as big. He had the animated show, and I think you could position him in a few different ways, but they're not leveraging that IP at the moment, and not the best way possible.
Dude, we already have Miles. We don't need to put another black dude in a Spider-Man costume. Like, please. I'm just kidding.
He's gonna have that same haircut too, Sean. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, I'm a huge advocate for Static. I think that it's criminal that Static is not bigger. But I think DC played a good hand by putting Nicholas Draper Ivy and Vita Ayala on the books, and they were cool, but I don't know that they sold that well.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult tightrope. Like, Spider-Man is one of the most popular characters that exists on this planet. It's very, very, very difficult, impossible maybe, to replicate that kind of appeal, that kind of mass appeal that can carry an entire line of comics in that way. It's hard.
You think Terry McGinnis was the attempt to do that with the Batman line? To Spider-Man-ize the Batman line?
Well, didn't wasn't Terry created for a TV show?
Yep.
Sure, but it to try to capture that like young, you know, POV character in this role with, you know, a big rogues gallery. I mean, I guess capitalizing on the TV show is a direct attempt to capitalize on the Spider-Man TV show too, and continue the Batman animated series stuff.
Man, that show was cool. I love that stuff. Like, I wish it would have played out the same way in the comics. But it didn't have. I feel like I remember a few attempts in the past few years, and nothing stuck.
Yeah, Batman Beyond is cool as hell, but I don't know how to make that work in the context of an Ultimate line.
Yeah.
Stuff, because he only functions as the successor to Bruce. You have to have Bruce first.
And the stuff in the future was cool, but it's not. That's not an Ultimate line.
Shui, thank you very much.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay. I hurt my back. You listening to
that? Old ass man.
Oh my goodness. Aaron Ruiz says, I would agree with Vengeance, but Marvel and DC has two popular cinematic universes, and we talk constantly about no new readers. Vengeance had earlier said that manga or anime exists to promote manga and that pipeline, and Marvel and DC don't have anything like that. The problem is that if you want to get Spider-Man stories, it's not the only problem, but it's one of the problems. If you want to get Spider-Man stories, you can get them cool as hell from a video game, a TV show, a movie, wherever you want, a video game at will. You don't have to wait for Zeb Wells and Ramita to get their new issue out. You can do it, and you can get it at any time. And if you really, really like Spider-Man in the movies, When you buy the Spider-Man comic, it's not going to be anything like that at all. I love the character, but that's the only thing that's going to be the same. Whereas with manga and anime, I mean, I'm not a consumer, but I'm pretty confident it's about 1-to-1. So it's just not like it's just not the same. It's just not the same. There are way more people that have seen Spider-Man in a movie than will read Spider-Man in comics ever. Way more.
Speaking of movies, Tom Account brought up what are the chances the new DC print initiative to parallel the Gunverse movie and TV shows?
Huh.
Which is what when Ultimate Universe was coming back in Marvel, that's what I said they should have done. To try to make like an MCU version of that world. But I guess DC could be primed to do something similar.
And then with that, you can even like, you know how we have the TV shows from Marvel for the MCU stuff. We can you don't even have to produce certain things to explore certain aspects of that universe. Where like WandaVision was, you know, tied to the show and then therefore led into the movie or whatever. I think there's a possibility for synchronizing there, but you have to be careful about how you explore the universe because you don't want to take things that people haven't experienced in the film universe from the comics to then put into the film universe.
Do you want editor's notes to show up on screen during the movie?
Imagine
This happened in trade paperback number 3. You know.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea. It's interesting because Gunn's been very vocal about the kind of inspirations that come out of that. If you can tie those things together and then make a clean universe out of it, there's a lot of it's a big playground.
Yeah, that gets tricky. Do they get to play in the margins of the movies and TV shows? You know, if it's canon, do they play off each other? If they play off each other, I think that could be disastrous. Like the comics can react to the movies and TV shows, but you can't do the other way around. And that's the problem. You can't assume that people will read the books. There's no requirement on the part of a manga reader to watch an anime or vice versa. It's just fun to do. But if you make it to where like, oh shoot, I didn't read Batman number 135, so I don't understand what's happening in this Batman movie. I don't think that'll ever work. You can't even do that with the Marvel TV shows and movies. It's tough. It really is tough. But I will say this. Does DC need to do this? No. I don't think they need to. I think they're in a much better position than they were in before the New 52. And I would say they're in a better position than they were before Rebirth. I think they stay the course. This is my opinion. I think they should stay the course. I think they should keep putting out good books. You know, find ways to try to appeal to an audience that isn't already here. But not through traditional regular old comics. An Ultimate line could be successful, but I don't think it has the same upward potential as Marvel's Ultimate line. I just don't think so. No matter what they do.
Yeah.
There's just something about Marvel's characters that I don't know, man. I just think it has more appeal in the way that an Ultimate Universe sort of works and functions. It's more interesting. You don't see them outside of mainline continuity as much. You can always find an outside of continuity Batman book.
I also think you can modernize Marvel's stuff better. And I think we saw that in the Ultimate line. You know, you can tie them into political events or the world as it is, because Marvel's motto is the world outside your window.
Right.
DC just doesn't work like that. They have entire cities that, you know, are impossible to find on the map, right? Like everything in Marvel happens in New York City.
All the heroes are. That's where everybody is, yeah. I don't want to agree with it because I feel like you can be flexible with creative things. You can be flexible with art, but I think there's something to the fact that you find less stories outside of continuity in Marvel. I think that builds that cohesion, and therefore it probably is more disruptive when you have an Ultimate line because things are so connected. Whereas DC, to that point, you're used to it. This feels like, oh, it's another thing, and that doesn't make it special.
Amin just pointed out it's also the fact that Marvel builds up those out of continuity universes. DC just releases 200 a year, so the world building is minimal.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, you can just see those characters. There's just like an overwhelming amount of Batman stories. I don't see how another Batman story that's out of continuity is going to get the job done. There, if you want Spider-Man, there are only, to my current knowledge, 2 ways to get that. If you're talking comics, there are plenty of Spider-Man books. They're all in continuity. And then the only other way is Ultimate, which is not in mainline continuity 616, but it's its own thing. And that's it. You're not getting any more Spider-Man anywhere else. You can find 50 Batman, Superman. Even Superman has multiple not in continuity things. Well, continuity and not. It's too much.
Does Life Story count?
Like 3 years ago.
It's over. It's 6 issues, and it's telling a self-contained story. I don't see that as equivalent. In fact, I would be very interested in seeing, I'd rather see Batman life story or Superman life story.
That'd be interesting, actually. Ooh. No?
Nah.
Swamp Thing life story.
Nah, there's too many of him.
Just a slow progression of a flower, frame by frame growing for about 60 pages. Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, Jeffrey Groom, currently reading Superman Lost. It's very good. It's good stuff. But that's way outside of continuity. That's not
Black
part
Label.
of it. Yeah, and Black Label.
Black Label? Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Been good.
All right. We've got a lot more show to do. Thank you guys for all the interaction and engagement during that conversation. We're going to find out more, I'm sure, whenever Free Comic Book Day rolls around and beyond. I think if an Ultimate Universe is coming for DC, it's this year. So strap in, because if it does happen, we might all be wrong on the predictions. Although if it's a separate line, that ain't a reboot. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, so we're gonna talk Ultimate Spider-Man. We're gonna talk the future of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're gonna play a game and a lot more. Hang out with us. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Subscribe if you're not. Yeah, Hulk smash it. I want to talk a little bit about patreon.com/thecomicspals, where not only do you get our newsletters, of which there are dozens, you get Palling Around, which is an exclusive show that only lives over there. We've got plenty of episodes of that. If you have never been subscribed to us on Patreon, or if you have been and you've dipped off, there's a lot of new stuff, so it's worth checking out. You get to join the Palsverse, which means you get a superhero nickname and a shout out on this very show every single week. And I want to say thank you and a special shout out to the best pals in the universe: Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, Starcross Catherine Stars, and Relentless Ryan Murphy. I also want to shout out the Night Stalker Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Keflis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manastorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Amin Almighty Perez, Pete the Dream River Collins, and Christian Uncaged Harriet. Thank you all so much. You guys are fantastic. And I hope that you've been enjoying yourself over on the Patreon side of things. Really appreciate you guys. I also want to shout out our YouTube channel members. Thank you for your support. Hope you are enjoying your early access videos. We actually just put one out this week that is about fans and whether or not they are more engaged and more willing to spend money when they are angry. It's something Joshua Williamson spoke about in an interview, and we chewed on that for a little bit. So,
and speaking about YouTube, Thank you, Ahmed Bin Makar, for the super chat. After reading Batman for 15 years, I'm done with cyclical storytelling. I wish I could get 3 thick omnibuy telling an alternate Batman tale where I see his life unfold in real time into the bittersweet ultimate goodbye.
Oh, yeah, the life story bit that I
Life
just
story.
talked about.
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
The omnibuy of that though.
50 issues.
I'm a big
Fucking
fan of
hell.
Omnibussy, so like being able to get like a nice shelf, item, that sounds pretty nice.
Oh, Atomic Count says Superman Lost is not Black Label. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about the Mark Waid one.
Space Age.
Yeah. No,
No.
no.
Oh.
The one with Lex, the last days of Lex
Yeah.
Luthor.
Oh.
Oh, I thought
Even-
that was Superman Lost.
Dude, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah, those came out at the same time. Lost is Priest.
That's the
Yeah.
Priest one, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear really good buzz about it. Priest is one of those guys that I think people underestimate.
I
Yeah.
thought that book was out of continuity.
Here's the thing. I still think it is.
Yeah. But it's been a lot of fun.
Jesus, DC, please. Watch this show live. Go ahead.
And they want to start an ultimate line.
Yeah. Watch this show live every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Watch Pals Pulls live every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on youtube.com/thecomicspals. I would like to quickly take a look at the poll, the listener pick poll, which lives on youtube.com/thecomicspals under the community tab. This poll is votable for you guys. This is how we determine the 5th book that we'll read on Pals Polls every single week. And last week was hotly contested. Yes, we all understand that Marco's, Minions, and many, many, many people who just happen to care about the Hellblazer book voted and pushed that book over the top. And so it did win the poll last week. But let's talk about this week.
Well,
So we've got
let's talk about it.
Titans Beast World number 5, The Flash number 5, Immortal Thor number 6, and The Holy Roller number 3. And we said, hey, if you guys want The Flash, if this whole deal is real, if you want more Cy Spurrier, go ahead. Pick your poison. And right now, this is the order. This is how it stands. Beast World at 38%. The Immortal Thor at 32%. The Flash number 5 at 20%, and the Holy Roller at 11%. So right now, it's not looking too great for the Flash, but vote your heart. Vote your
Right.
heart.
Vote your heart. That Marco is gracious with his minions.
Marco made 3 videos to get people to vote for his pick. That's what he did.
I'm sorry.
I bet he does it again this weekend too.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it'll work again.
Effective marketing. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we got some engagement on TikTok from that, so I appreciate that, Marco.
If it was so effective, let's see you do it.
No, because I don't have a horse in this race. This was that was a challenge last time. If someone wants to challenge me, then fine.
Yeah.
But
Hey, you know what? I'll take it this time. I'm dropping the gauntlet
God
for
damn it.
Flash number 5.
Yeah, you gonna vote for Flash?
No, you are. And you get your minions to do it.
Oh, I thought Kale was going to learn TikTok. I wanted to watch that
No.
happen.
Because see, you keep asking us to do that, like, peek behind the curtain here. Tyler keeps asking us to do content and stuff for TikTok. And the thing is, he doesn't realize that I'm going to start sending him videos and it's not going to be good.
Oh, please
But
do. That got
Marco-
me excited.
But Marco thinks he's hot shit because he got John Constantine. Come on, do it again. Show up for your boy, Cy Spurrier. He loves that money you're giving him.
You heard it, everybody. You heard it. This is Kale wants you out to go out and vote. Please go vote for the Flash. I guess he
Look at
needs
this.
he needs to be learned. He needs to be
Coward.
learned.
Please go vote for the Flash, I guess. Your fearless leader, ladies and gentlemen.
Made me change my vote.
That says more about you than it does about him. Boy. Let's no, let's not. Let's talk about the fact that we need to get to 2,000 subs. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Tell your family, tell your friends. If you're not subscribed, this would be the time to do it. You guys have been super supportive. This is the next goal, the next milestone that we're going to reach. And I would love to do it in the first quarter of 2024. So, it's as big of a win for you all as it is for us. So let's collectively make that happen together. Book club. The next book club is The Dark Knight Returns, which will be live on Tuesday, January 30th. Come hang out with us and chat about that one. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And then patrons, we're going to be having a hangout on January 28th. That's a Sunday. If you are at the appropriate tier that unlocks hanging out with us on Discord, we're going to have a hangout. And we're going to play a game, talk comics. It'll be a lot of fun. We've had nothing but success. We do this every single month, and you guys seem to love it. So we love it too. So come hang out with us for that. Let us hit the listener comments. Tyler, take it away.
Yeah, so we had a couple listener comments this week. First one is from Dan Trudeau saying, there's a lot of talk about the cover price of comics, but what would you consider a fair price for the average issue of a Big Two comic?
Draw the line at $2.99, baby. At this point, man, that felt like a good just balance. Cost to entertainment had. And now it's I feel like 50 cents a page or some shit. It's maybe a little bit more. It's too much maybe. But still, that's egregious. I think $2.99 made a lot of sense. It felt comfortable. It felt like it's a more premium niche product. Fine, that I understand that, but I'm getting my I'm content in the entertainment that I'm getting there.
I actually like that amount too, because I'm trying to crunch numbers in my head real quick. So, roughly, what does a comic take to read? 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Average movie is 2 hours, an hour and a half, and it costs around. In New York City, it costs around $16-17 for a movie, right? If you do like 1/8 of that, that's around $2.99. So just time to money investment. That makes sense to me, but there's nothing fair in capitalism, so fair price doesn't matter.
I think if we're talking about personal preference, that's a different thing than what it should cost for the companies to be able to function, because I don't believe that they could pay the creators what they deserve to be paid at $2.99. The cost of things is just way too high. Paper costs, printing costs, everything else. I mean, it costs a shitload of money to pay an artist to do anything. It just does.
And even before the economy was in the shit, they weren't paying their artists very well anyway. So
yeah.
I mean, they could if they cut costs at the top, which they'll never do.
All right, but come on. We're talking about the industry as it is, and I don't think that it could sustain or support what it costs if the books cost less than they do. And frankly, from doing the deep dives, I think comics have always been under cost. That being said, there's a difference between what it feels good to pay and what something ought to cost to be able to pay people. And I don't think it feels good to pay $4.99 for a comic at all. And I think there is going to come a point at which readers are going to say no. And they've been saying no. And that's why, we see readership go down, but we see price go up. This is something that Dan Didio talked about. We've gone over that a million times. You cut your audience every time you raise the price, and that price raise makes up for the lost readers.
Yep.
Is there a reason it has to be at a 99? Is
mental? It's just
it's a mental, so it's not $5.
Sales trick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited when it's $3.99 these days.
Right.
We get our review copies or whatever, but every now and then I'll have to go buy one, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be $5. Oh no, it's $3.99. Sweet.
It's like Image Comics. That's where it comes in. It's like, oh, we didn't, we didn't get the preview for Transformers or something.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
I guess I'll get the next one too. So James Jones said, I am absolutely still loving the Wonder Woman run. Tom King is killing it. hoping for 50 issues.
Tyler, he wasn't talking about Tom King. He was talking about Tim King. That's a
I was
different
helping
person.
him out there. I wasn't going to call.
okay.
You know, I made an edit for him.
Oh, Tim King, Tom King's cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he works in HVAC.
Now Tim King is writing a hell of a Wonder Woman. Issue 5.
It's John Byrne writing it. It's their weird kink comic on Tumblr.
Oh no.
I included this because we had a hotly debated conversation about Wonder Woman on Pals Pulls this week. And a lot of, I mean, it's a divisive book. There were a lot of people in our comments that were saying, hey, I love it. Wonder Woman's fantastic. I want it for 1 million issues. And there are other people saying that they can't stand it. I mean, we've already established where I'm at. And I it's not that I can't stand it. It's that I see how good it could be, and I'm frustrated that it's not. And I think that the Tom King stuff is what's keeping it from, and when I say stuff, I mean the trappings of a Tom King book, or what's keeping it from ascending to a higher tier, because the art is phenomenal. I think the general idea of what Tom wants to do is cool, but it's lacking the propulsion that makes a book like that interesting. I don't think that world building and setting a stage have to happen in a slow pace. I don't think that those two things have to go hand in hand, especially when I'm paying $4.99 a book. I think you got to respect your audience at some point.
And especially when it's supposed to be an ongoing. You know, you don't get an ongoing by dragging things out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Tom King is taking the piss a little bit.
Fair enough. Yeah. Having fun. But that's the diversity of opinion that Pals Pulls brings. Thank you for tuning in.
Last comment?
It's from Matt. I think this is of the Murphy variety. Do you think as more time passes, the Snyder Batman run becomes more underrated? Underrated, interesting.
No.
I think it's the most rated modern Batman story.
Yeah. Just that run, real good.
Like out of modern Batman proper runs, I can only think of 3 that are well regarded. Snyder, because it's freaking long, and it's good. Morrison's, which at this point isn't even modern. I don't know. And Tom King's is the other big one.
Yeah. I think, and Matt was saying that, like, outside of Court of Owls and what was the other major arc?
There was a Endgame was a big one.
Yeah.
0 Year.
The family.
There was 0 Year, yeah.
What's the other one he referenced?
Death of the Family.
Maybe it was Death of the Family. Whichever one it was. There are 2 big ones, and then no one talks about the other ones. But I don't think that that's. I think that that's just kind of how successful the run was. Like, Court of Owls stands head and shoulders above everything else, not necessarily from a quality standpoint, but from an iconography standpoint.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that is reflective on the rest of the run being seen as lesser, just that was a real high point. What can you do? Granted, Batman R.I.P. and Batman and Son are the things that people talk about from that run, but the entirety of it was phenomenal.
It's funny because I think Snyder's Batman run is one of the few runs in comics where I can probably name most of the arcs by name.
Yeah.
Fair.
I also think coming off of Grant's run is and coming out so hot, like I don't think anybody thought Snyder would be able to pull it off as well as he did. You know, and coming out of the New 52, I think Court of Owls and City of Owls probably had the most exposure.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look at the masks. I mean,
yeah,
it's just huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
Do you remember reading that one where you had to move the book around?
Yeah, dude, that was one of the most incredible reading
awesome.
experiences I've had.
Was that the Riddler year 1?
No, that was
Court of Owls. Yeah.
Oh, as well.
That's when he's
like
in the labyrinth.
That was like issue 4.
Yeah.
See, I think they reused that. Okay.
Yeah. At that time, it felt like a novel concept. You know, of course, I know that that wasn't the first time that had been done, certainly not the last, but to me, it was new, and I was like, well, this is cool as shit. Yeah. And it's still a gimmick that I could enjoy anytime I see it, you know? It's fun. Thanks, Matt, for the question. Appreciate that. There was actually one more that I wanted to grab from the Discord. It was from a new member of our Discord. It was Silhouette. Um, I can't find it, but here it is. If you guys could wish for one character from DC and one character from Marvel to take off this decade with consistent good runs, who would you want that character to be? So
DC and Marvel. I missed
yeah,
it.
one from DC, one from Marvel. Doesn't matter who you choose, but for the next decade, they're going to have great comics. Who do you pick?
DC. Okay, we all had the same idea at the right time.
Yeah.
Someone talk.
So for DC, I'm going to stick with my original answer. I'm going to say Ragman.
Oh,
I think Ragman's had a solo once, and I'm gonna thumbs up that. I don't care. I don't care what you say. The next one I'm gonna say is I would love a really, really good, and I mean top tier Ant-Man book. But he better have that same costume as in the film, because if he's got the dumb helmets he's got now, I'm not interested.
The Nick Spencer, Scott Lang one with Steve Lieber on art.
Not good.
Or no, it was Ramon Rosanas on art. The costume was good because it was a mixture of the MCU one.
I want a good one.
DC Amethyst. I fucking love that character. Fantasy, swords and sorcery. It's all about the power of friendship type shit. Like, love it. Give it to me. Marvel, I don't read as much, and so I was struggling. I wanted something within the X-Men world. That's the most accessible to me at the moment.
X-Men.
But I wanted like an individual from that. And I like the New Mutants. I think that'd be cool. Like hot, like just a hot New Mutants book.
You wanted an individual and you chose New Mutants.
You can say Magic, Marco.
Ooh, Magic?
Yeah. You can say Dazzler too.
Nah, I don't care about Dazzler.
You said Amethyst, but you don't care about Dazzler? Come on.
Nah.
All right, I have mine too.
He didn't give his individual.
Oh, I guess it would be Magic probably.
I thought he gave up.
That's like I like that realm.
Fucking Wolfsbane.
Yeah, what do you want? A cannonball? A rocket strapped to him? For me, DC, it would be Animal Man. I'd want to see consistent Animal Man books, or a Animal Man book. And for Marvel, it'd be Nova. I've always loved the Nova comics, Sam Alexander or Richard Rider, like either of them, just to kind of see what they can do there. Especially since it's like untapped to the MCU too. So like, it's ripe for exploitation there.
Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
It's happening right now, Sean.
No, it's not.
Is
Philip
it?
Kennedy Johnson, David Marquez, Wonder Woman. Book it now.
Ooh.
And then Storm on the Marvel side.
I was reading a discussion on Twitter how Storm should detach from the X-Men. Not like out of continuity, but like she can be her own star. And I don't disagree.
Could see it.
I think Storm is her own star. I just don't know. Like, I chose her, but I don't know if people would support that book. That's the problem.
What would it be about, and who would do it? I think.
Hey man, this isn't Be the Editor.
Listen, maybe it could be.
First arc, she has to reclaim leadership of the Morlocks.
Nah.
No,
It's been done.
Yeah, I fucking love that arc. That's some good shit.
I'll read it again.
What if?
Yeah, read it again. Like,
what if she goes and fights forest fires in Borneo?
That'll do it.
Somehow I feel like that would be more interesting, because I just like to watch Storm do anything, quite frankly, because everything she does, she's such a boss with it. Like, she's worshipped. She should be worshipped. There should be nowhere that Storm goes where she's not worshipped.
I want to see like Black Panther texting her like that future meme. You know, I was just thinking about you the other day, you know.
Uh, yeah, I don't know who would do the book, unfortunately, but I would love to see a book that does right by Storm.
N.K. Jemisin.
Ooh.
Maybe too sci-fi. Well, maybe she's
What
in
is
Mars
Storm
now.
doing right now? She's Queen of Mars.
No, I know. I took it back. I took it back.
Vengeance has a great one for DC. How about Phantom Stranger by Ram V?
Oh,
Ram V keeps teasing that he's working on something big at DC right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think it would be Phantom Stranger. I don't think that's big, but I like that a lot.
something's
Yeah.
coming. Hey, thanks to Deus Ex Macchiato for having the best name in the chat, but also for the $5 super chat. Says Mike Carey on Titans. Let us pray. Wow.
Mike Carey.
Wow.
I haven't seen Mike Carey since what? New
Bro.
Mutants or those like
X-Men.
Marvel like one and done, like they had the Kingpin one and the Ant-Man like first series.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
I
Did
don't
he
even know him from
do-
Hellblazer?
Did he do a graphic novel called The Unwritten?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know him
Yeah,
from.
that is
Wow.
him. Okay.
Oh yeah, Peter Gross.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh man, I haven't thought of that book in years.
Mike
hit-
Carey. Go ahead, sorry.
That hit me like a baseball bat.
The X-Men Legacy book that Mike Carey did. I love that book.
That was good. Yep.
I haven't thought about that book in shit since it was running. But
Was
boy,
that when it was
that
like
something.
Rogue and Magneto mostly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think that, yeah, they had like tweaked Rogue's powers or something. She had lost the physical like flight and all that. Maybe that was around that time. That was
Legacy,
good
you
stuff.
said?
Yeah, X-Men Legacy.
I think I have that one. I think I got gifted that as a birthday gift.
Only Hickman can save the Titans.
Nah.
Dude,
Hickman on Legion, and I'll accept nothing else.
If and when, because I don't think it's an if, I think it's a when. When Hickman goes to DC, it will be to do the Legion and then, take over somehow. But that's going to happen. Absolutely. All right. Let's kick the news off with something huge. This week, a rumor floated from Bleeding Cool that actually was also reported by none other than Rob Liefeld, who was completely right in this case. And I believe is also right about the DC Ultimate thing. And I believe was right about the Jim Lee thing. Who said that Jason Aaron will be the new writer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when it relaunches with 150 or after 150. So that's hilarious. We're getting a 10-page prelude in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha #1, which is coming out in June. Then we're going to get the relaunch of the book. It's not a relaunch of continuity. It's not a reboot. It's just a new #1. Jason Aaron will be writing it. We don't know who's going to be doing the art or who's going to be doing anything else. I don't even know that we know how long Aaron will be on the book, but this is the front-facing announcement. So Aaron said the following, quote, launching a new TMNT comic series in the midst of the character's 40th anniversary is clearly one of those dream jobs of all comic book dream jobs, especially for me, a kid who first fell in love with the Turtles all those years ago because of that original Mirage Studio series. Buying those groundbreaking issues off the fresh to the rack, comics that kicked you in the face with their action-packed grit and gloriously raw attitude. So I am not someone who has read more than like a handful of TMNT books. I wanted to follow them, but I was buying too many books and I just couldn't justify it. It was great though. So this is a jumping on point that I think is great for me. Aaron is a writer who is a veteran. And I think if you're going to launch almost anything, you can do a lot worse than Jason Aaron's name on the book. So I'm pretty excited for this.
That's you're bringing stock to the title. And who's the previously writing it?
Sophie Campbell.
Sophie Campbell.
right? And I've heard excellent things about that run and all the stuff there. So to be picking off of a hot book like that, and then with a big name, that makes sense. Forward propulsion.
TMNT doesn't really do much for me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I like it outside of comics. You know, I like the movies. Those side scroller games are fantastic, but I've never really read the comics. Honestly, from this announcement, I was like, oh hell yeah, Sophie Campbell gets to do something else that I want to read. You know. um, but yeah, Jason Aaron's a big name, especially for IDW to get Jason Aaron, like the guy writing Superman at the time. Pretty big.
Yeah, I will definitely be reading this. I want a way into the TMNT. I love those characters, but the stuff that they've put out for them over the last 20 years, I just haven't cared about when it comes to ancillary stuff. Truth be told, I only cared about the movie and the original TV show. Everything else, and the games and shit, everything else is whatever. So if this is good, I'll go back and I want to read everything Sophie Campbell did. But I need my way in. So I'm hoping this is good. Am I confident? Well,
The IDW run, you know, it is 150 issues, but it's very accessible.
whoa, how can you say that? How is it accessible at that number? That's crazy.
It starts at number 1, and it's a full, you know, like that's it. Like it's one continuous story. So you start at number 1 and go till you get tired of it. Like,
Was it all Sophie Campbell, Cal? No, right?
no, I think quite a bit of it is
Yeah, at least 50.
Isn't it the original?
Eastman? Or
Yeah,
Laird? Yeah, it's one of the, but I think it kind of goes back and forth. But the majority of it is really, really good, and it's based around a lot of stuff that a lot of the Turtles stuff has never done, or it's taken Turtles stuff further. There's a 5th one. I think even a 6th turtle. I think there are 2 girl turtles now.
What?
Yeah,
I knew about one.
There's one, yeah. I know about one.
The I believe Venus de Milo from the 90s show.
Yeah.
She's come back. Yeah.
I know Donatello died and became a robot at one point.
No. That's old Mirage stuff.
No, that happened in this run. I almost picked it up.
No, I don't think it did.
The only thing that could get me to read a TMNT book is a Pal's Poll winner. And we'll probably read this. What is it, 150 is he starting at? Or starting at a number 1? I don't know.
Starting at number 1.
We'll probably read that. But like, personally, if they got Laird and Eastman back for a new number 1, I'd read that. But that would be some serious mending of bridges to have to do that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be reviewing the first one, so come for that in June. Should be fun. Congratulations are in order to Marvel and Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cicchetto and the rest of the creative team for the tremendous success of Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. Absolutely incredible success. You know, it is the modern comics industry, so numbers are, you know, tough to come by. We don't know exactly how much it's been selling, but we know that it's being rushed to a second printing, and that'll come out February 21st, which is cool. A little late, but what can you do? But it's selling like gangbusters. Issue number 1 already has issues that are going for $45. You know, resellers trying to move it for that price point. Bleeding Cool ran an article that includes words from comic book store owners who were very, very positive about this book. So Timmy Haig from who's a writer and also an owner of Arsenal Comics in Cali, said the following, quote, Ultimate Spider-Man #1 was our highest ordered Marvel release in ages. And after 48 hours, one location is completely sold out and the other being very close to it. We're seeing new faces in the shops coming in asking for it, and I am so over the moon about it. This is exactly what shops needed. The thing with a hit, though, is you can never have enough. So once we're sold out, it's going to be a bummer to not have people coming in. Hopefully they want the second print. Unfortunately, in these cases, the second print doesn't come soon enough for the demand, and they don't want it due to second print. But regardless, I'm taking a chance and ordering up.
Nice. Yeah.
That issue 2 drop off is gonna be hard.
I don't know. You see the villain they're introducing in that book? Previews are out.
No.
It's shocker.
What a shocker.
According to a Comic Chic in the chat, third printing has already been solicited as well.
Yeah, it's a huge book.
And I gotta get on this buying stuff and reselling it. I feel like I miss stuff like that, like the way people miss like cryptocurrency. Like I should have bought it in 2007 or whatever,
Right.
and I'd be a billionaire now.
It's wild to me that people care about first printings. I understand it as a thing. I just my brain doesn't process it. Like,
Sean, do you remember when Marvel would do second printings and the only difference was the cover was like a different shade?
Yeah.
Like it was the same cover, but it was like with a red hue on it.
Yeah.
I remember I would accidentally pull one of those when trying to refill my collection, and it drove me insane. I could not have anything other than a first printing when collecting.
Yeah, I hate second printings, and it's so dumb. But it's like consistency. You know, if you get the first issue, and you know these covers tend to they have a design to them. Second printings are always some offshoot. You know, I want the OG. But yeah, this book is doing great. I bought 2 copies myself. I wish I had bought a third. I screwed up. I only bought the black suit and the holiday postcard one. I really should have bought the 2099 one. And actually, I should have bought the main cover. I didn't buy
Bean
cover
didn't
8.
get those?
Actually he did. Yeah, he did. But I can't,
Yeah.
you know, those are his.
Bean's currently under the weight of a whole bunch of comics. They're digging him out.
He can't make his way back to Midtown yet.
Yeah, he's having trouble.
This is great. It's great. You got a $6 comic. I believe it was $6. And it couldn't be selling any better. It's doing tremendously. It's bringing new people into the shops, allegedly. When you look on Twitter, social media, the conversation in comics right now is all about Ultimate Spider-Man, and some other bullshit that we won't get into. But it's just so nice to see a win. And there have been wins. Cole just right now in the chat says, you know, the success of the Transformers, Energon, and Ultimate Marvel is great news. A rising tide lifts all boats. That's absolutely the case. And I want to say, we go hard sometimes on Marvel and DC, and we're a lot lighter on indie stuff because of the fact, and when I'm saying, I mean critically, because of the fact that when it comes to this industry, Marvel and DC are the forerunners. When they have big success, it cascades and it shows in the industry, you know? So this is a good thing. It's objectively good. It's good for Marvel. It's good for DC. It's good for everybody.
Sean, Comic Chic in the chat says the Black Symbiote variant #1 is selling for like 75 to 90 because it was underordered.
Yo, wow. Can I tell you right now that I was headhunting for that one at Midtown, just in the sense that I knew that was the one I wanted, not because of sales, but because I love it. It looks so cool. And I found one of like, I think it was like, if it wasn't the last one, it was like 2. There were like 2 or 3. And I had to dig through the whole pile of variants to find it. And I was so happy that I did, but I won't be selling it.
Oh, if you sell it, Sean, you can pay for 1 week's worth of pull.
You're damn right, dude.
Self-sufficiency. That's a self-sufficiency market right there.
Yeah, it's not like I need the additional cover, right? But
it's the WoW tokens of comics.
Oh man, right? Like I could buy 1 issue, right? I could spend $6 and then flip that for 90, and that funds, you know, all the books I'll buy for the next couple weeks.
That's how I did Lorcana. Yeah, that's how card collectors do it.
That's how I've done it in cards for many, many years. Many years. So yeah, great for Ultimate Spider-Man, great for the industry. Can't wait for the next one. It looks like it's confirmed now, by the way, that the suit that Spider-Man will have is a basic bare black suit.
Ooh, interesting.
Maybe that's why the cover's going for a little more.
Well, if it was under ordered then.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
not a fan?
sorry?
Oh, sorry. No, go.
It's not the black symbiote suit, it's just a plain black suit. That is, it appears Peter will have in the book.
Oh.
Yeah. So that final page of Ultimate Spider-Man #1 where we're like, oh, what the heck? Why is it in silhouette or whatever? That's just the suit.
Just the suit.
Yeah,
It's just in
that's
black.
it.
Unless
it
it's-
must be like the wrestling like unitard or whatever, that Peter gets just to start him off, before he learns how to sew or whatever.
The starter suit.
Yeah.
So it's a morph suit he got off eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vengeance says, would love to see people's reactions when bad things start happening to Peter. People can't possibly think it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows. Dude, that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for that. Like, things are good. Like, he's in over his head just by the simple fact that he put that suit on. And things are going to get rough. They're going to get rough. And that's exciting.
I can't wait for Uncle Ben to die again.
No.
I hope not.
It's gonna have a successful newspaper.
I can't wait till Green
J.
Goblin
Jonah
is revealed
Jameson
to
is
be
gonna
Aunt
have
May.
Amin says, let's see the sales for issue, let's say 11. Hey, I feel like that's a little negative. I think, we should celebrate the success that we have, and hopefully the book is doing well at issue number 11. Why not? People want an alternative. They have demanded an alternative to Amazing Spider-Man, and they've gotten it. I challenged people when this book was announced. If you're really that serious about how much you think ASM sucks, buy this. And people did.
One of the cool things I saw about the discourse of Ultimate Spider-Man 2 is that the Ultimate Universe doesn't have a United States of America. Like, it doesn't exist. And so these characters are starting off from an anti-authoritarian perspective. Because it's like it's like Canada, North America, and Mexico are one state in this world.
Hey, the North American Union.
Essentially, yeah.
Old conspiracy theory. Don't mind me.
There's a palin around for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's kind of interesting. I like that the world of the Ultimate Universe is like radically different.
Well, it's also good because you don't have to have the baggage to to carry you through. I don't need the understanding from that to inform my reading and add to the maybe the depth of what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah. All right. We got news about the next book in the Universal Monsters line of books from Skybound and Image and all of that. And it is called Creatures from the Black Lagoon Lives.
Dude, this is my favorite Universal monster too.
Kel, I can do better.
I don't know.
I can do better. I can. Hold on.
Listen, I'm already here. What could you possibly say to get me up here?
I got you. Rom V.
Oh,
He's busting nuts over there. Jesus.
Dan Waters.
Oh, that was a hernia.
Matthew Roberts and Dave Stewart. That's the creative team.
Dave Stewart's a
Stewart.
colorist.
Colorist.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's good.
4 issues.
Oh, even better.
Right?
Yeah, all right. Fuck yeah.
Pumped out here.
And you're real hot on Dracula, right, Kel?
Dracula rules.
Yeah.
That's been so good.
I don't know anything about this. I've never seen a creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know
Really?
anything.
Abe Sapien
What's that?
from Hellboy, blue guy, blue
No.
fish guy.
Any swamp creature you've ever seen is essentially based on the creature from the Black
Yeah.
Lagoon.
Yeah. This will be for absolutely no one but Tyler, maybe. There's a thrilling adventure hour like mini-sode about the guy who plays the creature from the Black Lagoon, and he has to like solve a murder mystery as like the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's insane and it's
Isn't like
crazy good, and it's made the creature from the Black Lagoon like one of my top guys.
isn't it like Lon Chaney Jr. or something like that?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
So, this is what Alex Antone, who is the editorial director at Skybound, had to say. We're so thrilled to announce our second book in the Universal Monsters line. Dan Waters and Ram V are two of the most exciting writers in comics, and to be able to turn them loose with longtime Skybound creators Matthew Roberts and Dave Stewart has been an absolute treat. Each book in the Universal Monsters line will feel different from the last, with each creative team bringing their own unique flavor to these iconic horror characters. Okay. Years after the events of the original film, journalist Kate Marsden hunts for a notorious serial killer in the heart of the Amazon. Hot on the trail of this madman, she soon encounters an unexpected new threat. But is he friend or foe? Or is he simply the creature from the Black Lagoon? Cool. So it's a sequel.
Creature from the Black Lagoon. Hell yeah. This is rad. And man, the variants they got for this, oof. Oof.
This is like
Yeah,
rife for some be the editor nonsense, like character and like
Yeah.
monster and team. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some questions as to how this is going to work in the chat. I'm wondering the same thing. Is it going to be sort of Rom V and Dan Waters alternating? Or have they kind of cooked it together? Or is it, you know, is it Rom's idea and Dan scripts? Be really curious to know how all that.
They have those two new books coming out from Image that Dan Waters writing one, Ron V's writing the other, and they connect. So they have
yeah,
a
that's right. Yeah,
history
yeah.
together of
Yeah.
writing together. So I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't even like a script versus dialogue thing. I could see them literally writing this together.
Yeah.
I suspect that this is Rom V Presents type thing. I think Dan Waters is the front person. I think they worked on the idea together. I think Rom probably takes a look at the script and whatever, but I think it's just a more exciting book if Rom's name is there. And I'm sure he has involvement, but I think the like grunt work is being done by Dan. That's just my supposition.
I think that the when you said the plot too, the plot doesn't quite sound like a Rom V book to me.
Cole said, I believe I saw on Twitter that Rom V and Dan did the story, but Dan is scripting. Could be wrong. Yeah, I suspect this is that. Because even if you look at it, Dan Waters' name is on top. And I think if Rom had written it, his name would be there on top.
Sure.
He's the bigger name.
That doesn't take away my excitement at all. Dan Waters has been great.
And also, I think Rom V just being involved at all is a positive. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
I think this is nothing but good news.
I'm not familiar with Roberts. It looks like he's done Manifest Destiny, some Firepower stuff with
He's the artist of Manifest Destiny?
yeah.
Dude, that book is gorgeous.
Yeah. And some of the preview art here is excellent.
Dude, yeah, Manifest Destiny. When that was coming out, that was one of my favorite Image books. Underrated book. Gorgeous book.
His art looks a bit like dirty in a very positive way. There's a lot of like light shading, almost like charcoaly. I think fits very well with the aesthetic of what this is going to be.
It's very earthy. the art,
Yeah,
you know?
that's great. Yep. Pumped.
We've got one more news item left to go before we jump into the news. And I want us to get, or before we jump into the game, rather, I want us to get to 30 likes before we play. I think we can do that. There's a whole bunch of you in this chat. If you haven't liked the video, Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Super chats are open if you're having a good time. Let's talk about Ghost Machine #1. So Ghost Machine #1 is imminent. In fact, it will be dropping this upcoming Wednesday, and it will be reviewed by us on Pals Pulls. I'm very excited to talk about it. And Ghost Machine has decided to do a really nice thing for stores. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be shipping double overship, 100% overship to every store that has ordered Ghost Machine #1.
Wait,
That is
like,
incredible.
like they're gonna match it?
They're matching whatever the order amount is at no additional cost.
Yo, wow.
Wow.
Bold.
I mean, that makes sense because this really is a ad for the line. This book is an ad for the line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's previews for Ghost Machine. Yeah, smart move.
And it makes sense because then it's like, oh, you also feel good about this publisher. You can spread the good word in better faith because it's like, hey, I bought X amount. You're gonna give me more. I kind of need to put not that I need to, but the fact that I have twice what I've already ordered, I kind of want to push this to get some of that volume out, and it's at no extra cost to me. That's a great strategy.
Yeah. Ghost Machine needs to win with this. They need this to work. They need to get this #1 in as many hands as possible. This is a full court press. And I think this is smart. It's a different thing that they're doing here. And good for them. I hope this works. Now, we kind of flirted with it earlier, but like, think about the difference between this launch and the launch of Distillery. The Distillery launch was not about comics. I feel it in my gut. I really do.
Yep.
It just didn't feel like it was about comics. I don't know what it was about, honestly, but it wasn't about comic books.
I mean, we just talked about a Ron B book that was not Distillery. Like, it's not about comics.
It almost feels like it was launched too soon. A, because they didn't really figure out their digital distribution. It was TBD at that point.
No, they figured it out. They told us what it was.
Well, they didn't launch it with Distillery #1.
Right.
So I guess the infrastructure maybe wasn't there for it. And it almost felt like they launched it under the guise of this is for creators, by creators rights, right during the strike, as like a kind of like, oh, look how good we are for the writer, where other companies aren't. It didn't feel like it felt half baked, in my opinion.
Well, plus all the weird sales strategy they were trying.
Yeah.
Your issue is an NFT and you can sell it on our aftermarket or whatever. And
it's not an NFT. It uses
right.
blockchain, but it's not an NFT.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what really stole my joy for the Distillery books, was that it felt like they were pushing so hard to make this something that would be appealing to, collectors and speculators and NFT lovers. And like, I'm none of that. I'm a fan of comics.
Yeah.
And, the format is frustrating to me. And, the whole, I'll be honest. I haven't read a single book.
No. And I have no desire to be honest.
I bought one and I still haven't opened it.
Yeah. I've bought all the ones they put out so far. I haven't taken the time to read them, not even the Devil's Cut. And that sucks because I love all those creators. But there's just something about the marketing and the pitch that has just had me feeling alienated from it as a fan of comics. Whereas Ghost Machine has been like, yo, all creativity, all excitement, full steam ahead. And I get it. Like, yes, we have a relationship with Ghost Machine and all of that. But if we didn't, I would still feel this way because this feels like comics forward, comics first. That's what I want.
I'm just thinking about the day Devil's Cut released. Sean, you had to miss a show. I forget for what reason. Yeah. So I had to physically buy a comic. It was the last book I bought physically, and it still has that $9.99 price tag on it, and I couldn't remember exactly what was in it.
$9.99. That's right. It was expensive as fuck. To your point, Sean, though, Ghost Machine is leading with that creativity, and I know that they are because two issues of Junker Joe independently have like made me cry, have swayed emotion, have elicited such a reaction from me that it's like, oh, you guys care about what the story that you're telling, not about the fluff around that, right? Because if it was about the stories, you would lead with that and be like, the distribution is secondary, not distribution first.
Yeah. They haven't made an acquisition that's exciting in terms of a creator since the start of Distillery. And so much of it was, oh, there's 3% equity set aside for new creators, and that hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, and even the acquisitions they made and the announcements they made were all names we see all the time. All respect to those creators.
Yeah, like already through Ghost Machine, we got the announcement of Peter Snedberg being a part of that world, and that's exciting. Ivan Reis is a name that we haven't seen like that much over the last few years, so it's kind of exciting to see him be involved. And they brought in people from television. Granted, I want to see comic book creators get a shot who are unknown to us or on that level below. But to me, right now, Ghost Machine has all the momentum in their favor, and I can't wait to see what this issue #1 brings.
Well, and Ghost Machine's already fulfilled that promise. There are people on the Ghost Machine lineup that are new.
Yeah,
it's new talent and new, and I think Ghost Machine is the only company that has followed through on that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that at the end of the year, we're talking about how awesome of a year Ghost Machine had.
I'd love to be talking about how awesome a year Distillery had.
Yeah.
That we can have both, but Distillery's got to work for it. They've got to care about it.
I don't know, man. I mean, physical sold out and then digital sold out for. I clicked on 3 random books, and I can't buy it.
How do you sell out a digital?
I can't buy it.
It's an insane gimmick. It really is. Like, I don't know, man. Get your bag, comic book creators. Absolutely do that. But I don't feel like you can't get your bag by just selling comics that are good in ways that are normal. Like, I don't see why they had to go down that digital marketplace road. Like, who even cares about that?
Tyler, how much did you buy Distillery for that book for?
$10.
I bought it for a flat $9.99.
I have the digital version sold out at $75.
Idiots.
What?
And it's the first wave, and maybe it's a model that will work for them from a financial standpoint, but that's really not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm really concerned with just their foothold in the industry. It doesn't feel like there's a wave of support or reaction or enjoyment of their books.
Yeah. I also just like, and I said this when it was announced, and I'm just going to echo it here just to voice my disappointment, is just like, these were also the guys that created Comixology. And instead of, building more infrastructure that we lost to Amazon, they built some, faux marketplace.
Yeah.
For what?
They had the opportunity to take advantage of that space. Omnibus is doing that right now, so kudos to them.
Yeah.
But that one would assume the people who manage that, one of the founders would think, oh, I need to rethink distribution in this digital forward way because there is now a hole, and I have the cachet of being a previous owner and whatever it might be to lead that charge. Somebody else took advantage, and now they're doing the good work.
Yeah, instead.
And we met those guys at New York Comic Con, and genuinely seemed like great guys. They know what they're doing. They know what they need to fill the void, and that builds trust where this does not.
Yeah, the Comixology guys just made some tech bro startup gobbledygook that you would have seen in an episode of Silicon Valley. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And from what I can tell, the content of the comics is good, but like, The whole
Again,
environment is just off-putting.
yeah, like I mean that stuff would sell probably just as well at Boom.
Cole says, I want to read the new Tinian book from Distillery, but their dense and confusing digital strategy pushed me away.
And that's a loss to the creators too.
Yeah.
That's so insane, right? Like if around 10% of people who read comics read them digitally, how could you lock out pretty much all of that percentage just to appeal to speculators and, essentially gamblers? Like Cole should be able to buy your book. What's Cole going to do? Let's say, right? And I'm sorry to use you as the example, Cole, but you're the one to talk. Let's say Cole really, really wants to read a Distillery comic. Doesn't matter which one it is. But Cole doesn't have an LCS near him. So Cole is a digital reader. Cole buys all his books digitally. If Cole cannot buy your book digitally, but still wants to read it, what is Cole most likely to do?
Steal it.
Exactly.
Pirate it.
So you traded Cole's $10 in the moment, plus let's say he loves it and keeps buying it. You traded a potential long-time reader for someone who wants to buy your book on the idea that it'll be able to sell digitally later on when the NFT market, as far as I know, not that I'm an expert, has collapsed. That's the big idea. And I didn't mean to turn this into a bash fest, but that's a terrible strategy. The example I just used looks really bad for Distillery.
And not only that, if you're actually driving people to piracy like that, it's just bad for the comics industry because then they're going to pirate other books too. Once it's so easy, I can just go here to read stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it for Image books. I'm going to do it for DC, Marvel.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to put it on my recap YouTube channel that people can all read.
All right. Well, we'll be reviewing Ghost Machine #1 this week on Pals Pulls, so definitely tune in Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on youtube.com/thecomicspals. For that, we hit our likes goal.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We hit our likes goal. You never fail us. Thank you so much for that. That means we get to play a brand new game. Brand new game. And this game is called What If? Now, I want to make it clear. We have never played this before. This is a total experiment. So we need you guys to really pay attention and let us know if you like it and what can be done better, because we want to, potentially play it again. But this is the first time that we're going to play this. So what I would like to do is before I explain how the game is played, I want to offer you some options because I couldn't decide what to start with. All right. So here we go. What if Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 was made? What if Brian Michael Bendis never left Marvel? And what if Jonathan Hickman never returned to Marvel? So those are the three options. Which one are you most interested in? Don't ask me how the game is played yet.
Hickman.
Sam Raimi.
Hickman.
I'm going to also go Hickman. So, chat, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I want to know what you guys think as well on this.
Hey, should I put up a poll on that one?
Nah, just real quick reactions. Any other, people that say what they want, we'll run with it. And in fact, let's just do it. Let's do Hickman. Let's just do it. All right. So what if Jonathan Hickman never returned to Marvel? Now, here's the game. We're going to have, for the first one, we'll see how it goes. We'll have 3 minutes. We will have 3 minutes. We'll use dice as well to determine the order. What's going to happen is we're responsible for saying, each of us, what would have happened had Hickman not gone back to Marvel. I'll roll the dice to determine who will start.
Oh.
And can I talk? And we will each have a sentence to continue the story. Once your sentence is complete, the next person goes until 3 minutes have expired. You can do whatever you want. You can take it wherever you want to take it, but you have to respond to what the person before you established.
I have a question, and it's not about the format of the game. I get that. Hickman left. Is this Avengers or is this when he leaves X-Men?
No, like if he never went back to Marvel after the Secret War stuff. Remember, he was supposed to. Yeah,
gotcha. I wasn't sure if you meant like if he went back from
Right,
X-Men to
right.
Gods.
yeah. So if he never goes back to Marvel post Secret Wars, what
Post-Secret Wars,
happens?
got it.
That's the what if game. All right. Now I will roll the die to determine who will kick us off. Here we go. I will roll first for myself. That is a 2. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Sean's last.
Yep. I'll roll now for Tyler. That is an 11. I roll. Whoops. Lost that.
This might be the game where Tyler actually goes first.
I will roll for Kale. That is an 8. And I will roll for Marco. That is a 6. So Tyler, Kale, Marco, and I. That is the order.
It's the one where
So
I
Tyler
don't want
will
to go
kick us off.
first because I'm a little confused on the obtuseness of it. Okay, let me know when I.
What are you confused about?
Everything, Sean, in life, everything.
I kind of get that, yeah.
I have questions about everything. I need clarification on everything. Let me know when I can go.
Yeah, if you're ready, go for it.
Oh, I thought you were doing a timer.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just say a statement, right?
Yeah.
A sentence.
A sentence.
One sentence.
That kicks us off.
If Hickman never came back to Marvel, Krakoa would never exist.
Clock's ticking.
When because Krakoa never existed, we never would have gotten the Moira McTaggart refresh that character so desperately needed.
And even though that character desperately needed that reboot, I would have much preferred him not to touch the X-Men.
And since he didn't touch the X-Men, Hickman goes to DC Comics and he starts working on the Legion of Superheroes. That's the first book he does.
And with the success of Legion of Superheroes, reinvigorating that line better than Bendis ever could, Hickman then gets to reinvigorate the New Gods line.
The thing about Hickman's New Gods, similar to Krakoa, is he takes it down the left field. It's more like Hickman's New Gods.
Because it's Hickman's New Gods, he introduces the concepts of the Omniverse.
Okay.
And the Omniverse allows DC to tell stories in an ultimate universe, which Jonathan Hickman spearheads.
Oh, geez. It threw me for a loop. And with the Ultimate Universe, Hickman gets his own what's the troop? What's that thing in baseball of creators that then reinvigorate the DC line, and new creators and voices get to be seen in DC.
35.
And their mission is to work within the two dichotomies that the focus of the DC magic world has never really been focused on before. He's got to work within order and chaos. And so that places one character at the forefront of this ultimate line, Dr. Fate.
5
Dr.
seconds.
And Dr. Fate calls upon his bestest buddy, Swamp Thing.
And that's it. We are out of time. We are out of time.
I thought there would be a like a clause where like if you hesitate or you repeat something someone says, you get eliminated.
We could do that in the future.
That
We
was
could
the
do
most theater kid game I've played in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. and what is that? And
Yes, and.
Yes,
then?
and.
Yes,
Yeah.
and yes, and that's right.
Yeah, I was hoping to be able to like, lay a bed for, more story pieces, but that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun.
It was a good round.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, that makes sense. I actually, when we were talking about the ultimate stuff, at some point somebody had mentioned like more cosmic things. I'm like, oh, like you can expand out. I was gonna respond, but we had moved on to do like, what if we did new gods? What if we introduced some of those new characters within the ultimate universe?
That game gave me anxiety, and I don't remember what we talked about.
Feel that. Feel that.
Chat, we want to hear from you on this. Do you think we should play another round? We've got a little time. Do you think we should play another round? Does anyone want to suggest a what if, or should we just do one of the other ones that I mentioned?
What were the other two?
It was what if Bendis never what
What if
did I
he
have?
never left?
What if he never left Marvel? And what if Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 was made?
Oh, so come on, the Sam Raimi one's got to be easy.
3 minutes is a long time too.
Is
That wasn't
it?
bad. That was just like they gave us three.
I
three
felt
each.
every second, Marco.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't a good game to play with Tyler. Maybe Tyler's too
I think-
anxious for this type
I
of thing.
think the thing. I need the hesitation time though.
I'm good to just like out the gate. But
Yeah, come on. Like it's just you just
Yeah.
say some shit. All right, let's do another one. Let's do what if Sam Raimi's Spider-Man
Yeah.
4 was made.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right, cool. I will roll first for Kale. That is an 8. I will roll
Wait.
for Tyler. That is a 6. I will roll for myself. That is a 3. I will roll for Marco.
Come on, baby.
That is an 8.
Oh, damn.
What threw me off
Uh,
when I went first was I mentioned Krakoa, and then I see Sean go like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh, I did it wrong. I did it wrong."
Yeah, we had to pivot real hard.
So
Marco and I tied.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll roll for Kale. That is a 5. And Marco, that is a 7.
Ooh,
So-
let's go.
Marco, Kale, Tyler, myself.
Okay, give me the go.
All right. Remember that the prompt is what if Spider-Man 4 happened under Raimi? And we'll start when you start talking.
In Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4, post the funeral of the Hobgoblin, Sandman comes back, and he is an ally of Spider-Man, and he tells him that he needs help to stop Hydro Man.
How long is the sentence?
After the rage that Peter Parker experienced from the Venom symbiote, he gets a real lesson in grief when Hydro Man kills Aunt May.
It turns out Aunt May never learned how to swim.
This drives an even further wedge between Peter and MJ, who of course ended Spider-Man 3 on the outs. But now Peter needs her more than ever because he's grieving the loss of his aunt.
And she continues her career in modeling, leaves the US, and enters Gwen Stacy.
Again.
Right?
Marco did not see 3.
Minute and a half.
Yeah, right. So Gwen dies, and That's it. Who's next?
But it turns out all of that was just an illusion from Mysterio, played by Bruce
I
Campbell.
can't believe you didn't go there.
And while it was an illusion by Mysterio bringing a new villain for Peter to have to deal with, Mary Jane actually has a new love interest whose name is Paul.
Oh, Paul. They end up having a family, which further sends Peter into a downward spiral of depression.
Dale, 40 seconds.
Paul, it turns out he's the Vulture. And now we have the 4 in Spider-Man 4.
Peter Parker sits in the cuck chair for a musical moment where a new Nickelback song plays. As it slowly, you feel Peter's anxiety and heartbreak just like collapse on him. And then we realize, oh, there's still a symbiote left in him somewhere.
And that symbiote is actually an offshoot of the Venom time.
Bam, are you gonna go to Carnage?
Yeah, I was definitely going to
Oh,
call
there you go, the
Set up
toxin.
Spider-Man 5.
I set it up. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
I am furious, Tyler, that you didn't let Sean get to the fact that Mary Jane was a Hydro Man creation.
Yo, that's what I wanted to do.
I know. I was working my way there too.
You forget I've not seen that, so that I always forget that exists.
I totally forgot that Gwen Stacy was even in that third movie.
Yo,
Yeah,
when
we
you brought
recognize
her
that.
up.
Yeah.
I was like, and I saw the reactions. I'm like,
I had no idea what to do with that.
I'm like, why is everyone reacting that way? It's a new character. She just popped up. Totally no memory of that.
Oh,
she
my
marries
goodness.
Jonah's son, right, in the movie, who like turns into like Space Wolf or something.
No, MJ does that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Aaron Ruiz says Hero from Nickelback is a banger. We all agree. Yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Nickelback gets a weird, undue amount of hate. Like, they're not the greatest band ever, but they're fine.
I think in 2024 we can say Nickelback's fine.
Disagree.
What's wrong with that? You disagree that they're fine?
Yeah. They're
Okay.
phenomenal.
I don't know enough.
Fine.
Yeah, fine. Gwen died like a side mission. Yeah, I don't know
screen.
why Gwen had to be sacrificed. Well, because it came out of left field. Like, Gwen was already in Spider-Man 3, and Marco was introducing her as a new character. Where was Kale supposed to go?
I totally was.
And what else is she famous for? Like, what's she
That's
gonna do?
some
Sleep with
movie.
Norman? Like,
That's some movie. We got Gwen's death, Hydro Man, Paul, Mysterio, kids. Paul and MJ somehow had kids. Black suit. This is a wild. How long is this movie?
Vulture.
oh, I killed Aunt May too.
Aunt May died. Yeah. Wow. I'd buy a ticket to see it personally.
Book it.
Yeah.
You know what? Not even based on that synopsis. It was Spider-Man 4. I'd go see it.
Just adding more villains and more things to the mix.
Well, I mean, that's classic. You have to match the number of villains in the sequel.
Right.
Spider-Man
I
2
didn't-
didn't have 2 villains, did it?
No.
No, just Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Doc Ock and
Well, 3
He's
had
all high.
Venom, Sandman,
New
And
Goblin.
New Goblin, yeah.
and New Goblin. Yeah.
Who Marco would not stop referring to as Hobgoblin.
I said
Making
it
me-
one
Yeah,
time.
that was driving me crazy.
Dude, you said it twice.
Wait, was it New Goblin?
Yeah.
Yo, I
It
don't
wasn't
remember any-
Hobgoblin.
I don't remember anything about that movie.
He didn't have a name in the movie,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah, the
he
toy
was
showed him as, like,
colloquially
New Goblin.
referred to as New Goblin.
And I was gonna say James Franco in the original. I'm like, no, that's not his character's name. Hold on, I was on the spot. I didn't remember.
You could have. Everybody would have known.
Would have gotten us less pissed than Hobgoblin.
The Chad Paul cut. Hell yeah. So what do you guys think about the game? Is it something that, and I'm referring to the audience, but also you three, is it something you would want to play again?
I like it better when it's
Yeah.
more specific. Like the Spider-Man one's fun for me because it's like, all right, well, we have limited parameters. Hickman
Oh.
It
was
was
just
limited. You could have done anything.
yeah, but in the scope of a story, I mean, I guess you could have been like, well, then Amazing Spider-Man never happened, so I guess you could have spun that out.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That was fun. Really good.
Yeah.
The randomness of it.
I just don't like going.
I feel,
first.
and I feel like the Spider-Man went better because we ironed the kinks out a little bit more in the Hickman one.
I already had a heart attack. So
Amin says, "Hella fun. Another round."
Dangerously throwing glass to the ground.
We would need more of you to say you want another round for us to do another. It's fun though. I like it.
I also like how
I bet we could do a short Bendis one.
You want to do it?
well, I also like how you didn't tell us what this was, so I just see it for the slides. I just see what if with no context, and I'm like, all right, cool. What do I do for this?
Bendis?
I can do it. I can do it, and we can stop it.
What do you mean?
I know my answer, and if I'm first, it's gonna get
for-
dark real bad.
For
What's the
Bendis?
prompt?
Let's do it. Let's do it. One more round.
The Bendis one?
Yeah.
What if
Uh,
Bendis didn't leave Marvel?
Yeah.
Right.
What if Bendis did not leave Marvel? I'll
Fingers
roll
crossed.
for Marco first.
Oh boy, yeah.
Please be low.
That is a 4.
Thank God.
Yeah,
I'll
Marco
roll for
did not
myself.
read those books, so
That is an 11. Holy crap.
Okay, Sean goes first.
I'll roll for Kale. That is a 10. And for Tyler,
don't be 12.
that is an 8.
Okay.
So me, Kale, Tyler, Marco. Woo! What if Bendis never left Marvel? Okay. Here we go. If Brian Michael Bendis never left Marvel, then Miles Morales would have been the star of the next Marvel Comics event. Written by Bendis.
The tragedy is that in 2024, it's the first, maybe the first book ever to sell 0 copies because no one's interested in Bendis anymore, especially at Marvel.
Wow.
I have to reference that. And with
That's
the book
the game.
selling 0 copies from Marvel Comics closes shop.
And Bendis relaunches Marvel, leading with his titles Jinx and Powers.
And when no one buys Jinx and Powers, he decides to relaunch Ultimate Spider-Man.
But this time, Ultimate Spider-Man starts, you're never going to believe this, with Aunt May.
After she gets bitten by a radioactive hotcake, or what was wheat cake.
Wheat cake, yeah.
She becomes the ultimate wheat woman, and a whole line. Kale's not giving me much to work with here, Sean.
You're just not playing my game.
And becomes the new star of this Ultimate line.
And under her, she cultivates a group of cake-related sidekicks: Blueberry Muffin and the Short Stack.
Hey, nice. She needs a little help because that is stiff competition. And so she reaches out to a young reporter who has aspirations for greatness named Paul.
Paul and his wife, Mary Jane, and their kids, obviously, begin a new iteration of the Fantastic Four, but under the guise of the Hostess family.
What?
And to fight them, the Mary Jane's ex-boyfriend Peter Parker dons this new glider and becomes the Glucose Goblin to fight these dessert-themed heroes.
And when Mary Jane and Chad are locked in icing
3.
the kids the
Ah.
Keebler elves win.
What the fuck was that?
They got trapped. They got frozen in
No, not you,
ice.
Marco.
Oh,
That was bizarre.
that was wild.
That was not at all what I thought we were going to discuss there.
Yo,
Oh,
once
What?
it went to the wheat cake thing, that was wild.
yeah, y'all didn't follow me.
I thought she was gonna become the next spider.
I wanted her to be called Captain Wagon. That's what I was going to get at.
Sure.
I wanted to talk about how, because Bendis never goes to DC, the graphic designer that came up with the Bendis is Coming thing never had a job and left his whole family down.
Vincent Flanagan, I'm getting diabetes here.
Dan, I had to pull over so I could tell you guys that was hilarious.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. That's what we want to, that's what we want, the feedback. Appreciate you guys sticking through us while we workshop a whole new game in front of your very eyes. I love it. It's fun stuff. Face it, Tiger. You just hit the dessert bar.
Yo.
Hey, maybe we should pitch these. Well,
Something's gotta stick.
yeah. I guess that was also highly offensive. So maybe Bendis wouldn't want to go back to Marvel to sell 0 copies of his Miles Morales event.
That's right.
That had nothing to do with Bendis at all.
It just spun out into some wacky Aunt May story.
I had a direction. Like I said, you guys didn't follow
What
me.
was your direction, Kale? What were you thinking of?
Oh, it was going to be the collapse of Bendis and his life and his,
Oh,
Man, real
man.
hater.
well, his
Apples over there.
professional life.
Why would anyone follow that?
Because that's the direction I took us in. That's the game.
Well, once you hit that, I'm like, I don't know what to do here. I gotta bring Marvel back somehow.
Fucking sandbagged me. Yeah, I didn't know where to go.
Well, that's how it feels, Gwen Stacy.
There you go. Oh man, let us know if you had fun with the new game. Hopefully you guys had fun with the show overall today. We appreciate everybody that showed up live or anybody that listened to us at any time. Patreon.com/thecomics pals is the best way to show your support for us. We give you a lot of bang for your buck. We have so much exclusive material over there that we are sure you guys will love. Why are we sure? Because the patrons that we have are having a blast over there. So thank you all for your support on that side of things. Channel members, I see you. I see you in the chat. I see the emojis all show long. Thank you so much. If you want to become a channel member, click the join button on this video or on our channel. It's simple, it's low cost, and like we've said, we've got a lot more to come on that front. So thank you so much. Watch this show live every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Thursdays, as we said, 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Pulls. We'd love to see you guys come and hang out with us for that show. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. We've got some really good books on the docket and a great poll. Go vote in the poll. Make sure you get that in before you go about your day, whatever it is you're going to do today, which we hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure you vote. And let's get those numbers up higher than they were for the last poll. Last poll, we did like 150 something. We can beat that. Let's beat that. Let's do it. Book club. The Dark Knight Returns book club is January 30th. Come hang out. It's going to be a ton of fun. Bring your questions, bring your comments. Come well read. It's going to be a good time. And last note for the patrons, the 28th is our hangout. Hope to see you there. We're going to be playing games, talking comics, all that good stuff. Should be a fun time. Thank you all so much for coming out. We will see you next week. We'll see you on Thursday for Pals Pulls. Until